Tim Ham, aka the PPF Diva, aka Felony Films. Let's talk about the millions of dollars you sold your company for.
Oh, millions of dollars. Actually, I sold it for like $100,000.
That's not true. So, first and foremost, this is all being recorded. So, you are sworn to tell the truth, nothing but the truth. And that is something that gets confusing sometimes with you. I was even under the impression recently that you were opening a Chick-fil-A, and I just fell for one of your many entertaining stories.
That's true. I mean, a lot of people don't know how to take me. It's one of those things where I do it on purpose. It's all about
Yeah, I know.
so it's like Tint Wiz. I mean, I love your chair, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's definitely upgraded since last time I seen you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of those things where
you did the brick too. Sorry,
and the brick and the purple house.
Mm-hmm.
And a cool microphone.
Thank you.
All right, so we're talking about the sale of my business, correct?
How to Take You. You were finishing. Let's finish on How to Take You. You said you're somebody that I don't want to fill in the blanks, but you're talking about, or we can go to the business.
No, we'll talk about me first. It's one of those things where nobody knows how to really take me. And the way that what's the word I'm looking for? Present myself when I first meet people. I'm off the wall. I'm unfiltered. I say the most weirdest things. And I do that on purpose. So whenever I first meet somebody, I don't want to really be a friend, actually, because I have too many. I mean, So if they don't like me, I don't ever have to talk to them again. That's a good thing for me. But, once they get to know me, they're like, oh, Tim, we thought you were being serious. I'm like, no, I'm joking. It's part of a facade, like the hookers and cocaine name. I mean, who in their right mind is going to put a slogan, hookers and cocaine? Would you do that?
So the first part of what you said sounds like a defense mechanism. When you meet people, you just automatically say, I don't need you as a friend. I'm going to act crazy. And if you stick around, you've passed the test and I'll add you to my limited friend group. And if not, fuck you. I didn't want to be your friend anyway. That's that part. Now, the second part is the felony films and hookers and cocaine, which, is wild, absolutely wild. And the question, of course, always still can be out there and say, were you successful because of the name and the marketing, or were you successful in spite of the name and the marketing? It certainly got my attention. You stood out from thousands on Facebook. You had a very clean-cut profile picture years ago, but you always mention hookers and cocaine and how many cars you did.
That's true. Luckily, the cops have never been in my house to raid me. I mean, I have no cocaine here, so it's okay. It's one of those things that it was one night, me and some friends were just having drinks. It was 2018. I wanted to reinvent myself. I wanted to do something different. I wanted more business. But I think with that aspect is coming up with something outside of the box. It was never supposed to survive. It wasn't supposed to succeed. I just kind of went with it. I mean, Felony Film. That was based on my past, 10 felonies, jail time. Well, not jail, prison, actually, 2 years. And to take myself from being a felon to being successful. And it was from doing good work, too. So got to get your name out there. Got to get your presence out there. I mean, I don't want to say Expel or whatever film that I use, Avery, made me. It's, people are trying to market a specific name, Autobahn or Geo Shield or whatever it may be. It's you're trying to brand yourself. I had a conversation the other day with somebody that how many people wake up in the morning and look at Tim Ham's profile just to see what shenanigans I put up? Sometimes it's legit. Sometimes it's fake, completely fake. I mean, I think I'm married to my insurance agent right now. It might be you next week. Who knows? But, you got to get a vibe. You got to mold your business in order to sell it for a lot of money. First, doing good work. I mean, your work has to be pristine. It has to be, you have to get everything done within a day. So whenever a retailer calls me, hey, Tim, we have this car. They never asked when. They knew it was going to be done the next day. At the same time as doing 10 to 15 cars a day is absurd. I mean, heck, I was working 20 to 40-hour days. But it's building a brand around
20 to 40-hour days?
20 to 40 hours. I mean, there was a couple of days my girlfriend's like, Tim, you only had to...
Great, you're saying. Like, your day was 40 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
40 hours. I mean, Not, yeah, continuous
I get it.
hours.
Obviously, you didn't make a longer day. I was just reaching for what you were going for. So you
Yeah.
worked 40 hours straight. So um your work ethic is definitely something we have to jump into. Before we do, I want to circle back to what you just said. You know, the name of your company, you wanted it to stand out and so on. You know, at the end of the day, that's something I tremendously believe in, is standing out, right? And you did it in a very risky way, which made you stand out even further. Like some would say it was risky, but it made you stand out even further. And if you don't stand out, you're going to be somewhere in the middle. And if you're in the middle, you can easily get lost or end up at the bottom. But if
Mhm.
you stand out, I think you give yourself the best shot. It doesn't have to be in such a maybe aggressive way, but you have to stand out. You have to be exceptional and bright and shiny and memorable. And you definitely nailed that.
Of course, and it's just one of those things standing out. So it's a personality. I mean, again, it goes back to how many people wake up to look at Marco Pizza's Facebook or Instagram. You just see pictures of pizzas. Somebody once told me, like Red Bull, you don't see Red Bull cans, you see them jumping out of planes, things they sponsor. So I think
Sure.
Expo's starting to do the same thing with the Indy and the NASCAR stuff and everything they sponsor. So just
Did you
thinking out,
sign an did you sign an NDA with the people you sold your company to?
which NDA, meaning can't talk
Like
about it,
non
or
yeah, like you're not allowed to talk about details.
I did. I can't say details.
Okay. So not only can you not say details because of an NDA, which I completely understand, and I was in the same position, so I have to respect that 1000%. To me, there's no playing with an NDA. And then the other thing is, there may be questions that I potentially ask that you just don't want to answer. You're uncomfortable with answering. You don't want people to know the answer. I think there's nothing wrong with that as well. So I want to put that out there. Um, but we won't know unless we ask.
Of course.
So first question really wanted to get out there was, how much did you sell the company for? Is that something you want to share or can share?
Yeah, I can't really share it, but I was smart enough to invest the money, which I still have full access to.
But you invested it after, but you sold it for a lot of money.
I did. I think I did okay.
It's a lot, right? Like we
Uh,
won't
you
talk
know,
about a number, but I'm saying like you're in a is that an AMC theater you're in right now or
no, no, it's actually my personal one. How do you make the camera switch?
so?
Is
But in all seriousness, you made a tremendous exit without telling us the number. It's probably safe to say it was one of the biggest exits in the industry.
People do tell me that. I mean, I never. Everyone always wants to know a number, and I can't tell them. And they're like,
Of
"Tim,
course.
I see the smile on your face," and and I don't ever have to work again, which I like to work. But
So
I did.
okay. Huge amount of money you sold the company for. When was the first, what year was the first time you started installing PPF as a business in any business for
It was
anybody
it was 2000.
in the year 2000? So you've been
Year two.
touching PPF for a long, long time.
Yes, 24 years.
Now, from you said you started Felony Films, was that 2019 or 17?
2018.
18. Right. I boxed it in.
Yeah.
2018. Between 2000 and 2018, what were you doing in regards to PPF?
I've always had multiple streams of income. So before then, I mean, I was in a pawn business, in the marijuana business in California.
But you said you started PPF in 2000. You didn't
Yes.
start Felony Films into 2018. In between 2000 2018, were you touching PPF to any
Oh,
capacity?
yes.
What
Yes.
were you doing as far as, was it a side hustle? Was it for friends and family? Like, what were you doing?
It was kind of a mixture of both because I would focus on several things at once. Does that make sense? Does that answer it?
Yeah, but like, give me an idea. Were you doing 10 cars a year, 10 cars a month,
Oh, no.
once in a while? Like, what was it? You know,
Back in the day, I know the first 5-10 years was the hardest. You might do one car, 2 cars a month.
but it was a full time thing you were doing
Yes.
PPF during that like 18 years, 2000 to 2018. You were doing PPF.
Yes, sir.
So before Felony Films started, you were already a pretty seasoned installer. You knew your way around PPF. You were fast. And then you decided to kind of reinvent your business and your branding and start Felony Films in 2018.
That is correct.
And 2018, when you started it, other than yourself and the installation skills and business skills and marketing and experience that you bring forward, was there anything else? Did you bring any coworkers, employees from day one? Was there anything else you started with?
So 2018, it was just me.
Just you.
Just me.
And what did the beginning of Felony Films look like when you were starting it in 2018 and reinventing it?
I think whenever I reinvented, I had to start over. So in order for me to do this, I stepped down. I had $1 million house, a bunch of Porsches, some Mercedes, and I sat there and I thought to myself, how do I make this work? It was already a bullshit name. So I downsized to a 3-bedroom ranch. Back then it was 250-ish. Now, we'll go back into that later. But then I sold all my cars and drove a 2010 Audi Q5, $10,000 vehicle. And then at this point, I'm
I
starting.
mean, you downsized to free up a lot of capital, because that's either you're freeing up a lot of cash flow every month, right, by not having the expenses, or you're freeing up a lot of cash flow, or I'm sorry, capital that was sunk into that home and into the cars and so on. You're freeing up a massive amount of money, because I think a lot of people start businesses with the range of 0 to 10 or 20 or $30,000. What you're saying is you freed up probably a few $100,000 at least.
Correct.
How many hundred?
I don't even know off the top of my head. I mean,
There,
I did
wondering.
a shit ton of money on.
Okay, so keep going. Why did you free up so much money to start the business?
I kind of learned that I had to focus on one thing. So with that one thing it's going to take money, which, a lot of these new guys that are getting into business don't understand. When you buy a roll of film, you need a roll of 24, 30, 36, 48, 60 gloss. Then you've got to keep in stock your stealth. So you've got to do the same thing with stealth. So that right there alone is $30,000. Pretty easy, just spend. Poof, gone. So for me, I thought about it, downsized everything in my life. So that's whenever I started buying 2 rolls of everything at one time. And then as I made profits, I started to take the profits to buy more rolls. I mean, I think at the end I had 20, 30 rolls of everything. And people's like, well, what did you need that much for? I didn't want to run out of film. I've seen a lot of new guys run out of film. I mean, these guys have, a nice McLaren, a Ferrari, nice watch, but they don't have but 1 or 2 rolls of film. I see that all the time. And then they call their rep and say, hey, next day need something, and make it look like it's someone else's fault and not theirs, because they don't keep stock. And for me, I just kept downsizing until I was comfortable. I mean, I still had a nice house, still drove an Audi. I mean, it wasn't brand new. I mean, it was a $10,000 car. Then I started building Felony Film. And again, it was let me just sink everything into this one thing. Let's see where I can take it. And at that point, that's when Expo had a problem with my hookers and cocaine and my language online. And of course, later Hardy had explained my methods and what I do, and I had a lot of presence in the industry. So they gave me an okay to be me. So from there, I started to build. And then I was getting too busy to do this stuff myself. So that's whenever I started hiring people. First guy was Junior. He's doing a great job now. He's on his own. Again, doing a fantastic job.
Where did you find him?
I found him at a Tent World.
What were you doing at Tint World?
Actually, at that time, I never have rent. I always use somebody else's establishment for my benefit. If that makes sense. So I've never had overhead. I mean, we handled maybe 15 locations, never paid a dime for rent.
So what you're saying is you've never had your own location. You always operate your PPF business in other locations,
yes.
Other people's locations, and you're not paying them for that location, not paying rent or anything like that.
No, not at all. I mean, they would sell a job for me, and at the same time, they'd mark it up. So I'd give them a wholesale pricing. And at the same time, that's what a lot of people don't realize is how I did this. So basically building a name for yourself, first off. Second was maintaining relationships even with your competition. So whenever I say competition, let's say Joe Smo right down the street, going, if he's just doing ceramics, say, hey, look, I can offer PPF for you. If you want to sell it, here's a wholesale. You can make this much money by just making a phone call. You make one phone call, you're making $500-600 or more. I mean, it just really depends on whatever they sell it for. And, at that time, it's working with your competition. That's why I never had competition here in Georgia, because I've always worked with other people.
Very smart. I mean, Very great perspective. Like you said, if you're doing wholesale work, and even if you're not doing wholesale work, but you're open to wholesale work, you can get that work as overflow from other people. They've done the sale, they've done the whole thing. You get your price, they need to get it done. They make their markup, they don't have to deal with it. Everybody wins, but you only do that if you you form those bridges and don't tear them down the way out of fear of loss or ego or whatever could happen.
Yeah, I think it's mainly ego with most of these people. I mean, somebody says, "Oh, look,
What do you mean by these people? I'm just
these."
kidding.
I didn't say those people.
Okay, those
But a lot of people are afraid to work with somebody else. They think they're competition, and at the same time, everyone can work together. Keep the line the same, because right now, since I've stepped away, which had a conversation with somebody earlier today. We had a bridge with my wholesale. Now you have other people going below my wholesale, below and below, and everybody's fighting for territory now. So, kind of stepping away from the business, everybody's now like, oh my gosh, this is available, this is available, this is available. And I'm like, guys, I set the standard of the pricing. You don't have to go down. If they need it done, they will actually call you.
Yep.
Um,
So let's zoom out real quick. I'd love to get an idea just from that 2008 Felony Film starting point. Could you kind of give me an idea from there until the sale of the company, kind of a broad overview of what the company looked like? So first year, you could throw out maybe potential revenue approximate. Did you have any employees or not? Second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year. Let's get to, basically the sixth year, or maybe it was the fifth year when the negotiations start. Like, what did that growth of the company look like? How many people and what were you doing to accelerate it?
Guess I'm gonna go backwards. So last year, until I sold, had 4 employees for PPF, and I had 2 guys for ceramic.
When you sold the company, you had 4 PPF installers, 2 ceramic coating
Yes.
installers. That's when you sold it. So it was 6 installers plus you, but you weren't installing at that point, right?
No, not at all. I finally learned a few things that I wish I would have learned 5 years ago. We'll go into that later, but
Okay, so that's where you sold. You had 6 employees. Before that, what'd you look like the year before? What'd you look like revenue, if you can share that, or approximate, or
yeah,
don't?
I can share that. If you look at PPF magazine and every award I won, I did over $4 million.
How many?
Over four.
Over 4. So you did over $4 million. You went and with 6 employees when you sold the company. What did it look like the year before, approximately, if you can recall?
It was about the same because I still had the same team.
Okay. Year before that?
Changed,
Go ahead. Yeah.
maybe 2 or 3 installers. Because as I'm training new people, it takes about a year to train somebody properly. You can go to school and then learn it, or they say you can try to learn it in 2-3 days. That's not going to happen.
When did you add your first installer? Was how far into the business?
The first year.
Like first month of the first year, or the end of the?
No. Let's say 11 months in.
Okay. So
because you can't be super, you can't cut kits, you can't do the books, you can't take the orders, do the bookings, and go do installs. So as I got busier, people, the main thing people don't realize about business is word of mouth.
So word of mouth, how did you actually initially launch it in 2019 or 18 rather? Was it through previous relationships you already had? You kind of had a flow of business, you just rebranded, or were you starting from kind of a start position?
I was always used to Porsche, so I had to reset it. At that time, we were maybe doing 2 cars a day per dealership, which is nothing now. But as I got bigger with this, I started, some of my Porsche clients would be like, hey, can you do a Mercedes for me? Sure. And then I would have other people reach out. So they would hear about me through other people. Hey, Tim can come in and do this job for you. And so word of mouth started to get bigger and bigger. So these other locations that wanted to make money but had no PPF installers, these ceramic guys or window tinters, their shops would call me, hey, Tim, can you handle, some extra jobs for me? Sure. And then it was like a snowball effect.
And one of the things you had mentioned to me in the past that I just think is an important detail was you had mentioned your loyalty to your customer. So you had mentioned that, you don't take direct to consumer work. If somebody called you directly, you would say to book through one of the places that you wholesale for. And I think that's a really key ingredient in, like you definitely, everybody would want the loyalty from the dealership and say like, hey, use me. Right. But if you expect that, you have to get to them quick, which you mentioned was like a huge priority to you. They always knew it was going to be the next day because you can't be a bottleneck for them. You have to be convenient. So they'll release the bottleneck by finding someone else. And then, you have to be loyal to them in the sense that if you guys are competing for customers, well, then they're going to get the labor as cheap as possible. But if they know that you're their labor and you're sending maybe customers even their way, you're actually creating that mutually beneficial. You're earning their,
Trust.
bond and trust and you're earning their business.
Yeah, because I mean, there's so many times I've got approached while I was doing the job by either a client or even somebody 2 doors down that does PPF, and they're like, "Hey, man, can you do my work too?" I'm like, "No. If you
That's
need some,
hard one for anybody to resist, isn't it?
it is, because I've had times where people had approached some of my installers and wanted their numbers. I'm like, "Hey, guys, we're in somebody else's establishment. Respect it."
It's so important. So
Yes.
important. I would say like it's so many people just don't get that. And then they walk right into shooting themselves in the foot.
Oh, it is, and that's
So common.
one of the things that can kill your reputation is once you build the reputation of being good, fast, quick, and then there's also another one where I had keys to every location I went to, including Porsche. I mean, I had access for 24 hours. If I want to go steal every car, I could have. But it's not worth going in, taking something, or losing the trust. Because I mean, your reputation is one thing, trust is another. Same thing with clients. I mean, again, you don't want to steal somebody's client to make one-time deal of a couple $1,000s versus burning $80,000.
Super short-sighted.
Yes.
So when you started the business in 2019, other than wanting to stand out, rebrand, and so on, what were some of the like goals? Meaning, was the goal to grow to a certain size? Was it to make a certain amount of money? Was it to sell the company at some point? What did you forecast in your mind?
In 2000, beginning of COVID, we did XTC, and I talked to one of the guys from ProTech, and we were talking. He just sold his company to Expo, and I asked him. I said, I've never heard of this. And at the time, Expo was buying companies. They still are. And I sat there and I listened to him. He said, "Tim, put yourself on a plan." I said, "Okay, tell me more." Hire more employees, get bigger, get a reputation out, and that's what I did. And I listened to everything he said. So and I told him, I said, "I'm going to make a 5-year plan," which I did, which I was able to sell in 4, which was pretty awesome. And I did approach him last year, and I told him my story, and he was like, "Holy shit, Tim, you did this pretty quick, pretty fast, and you basically didn't even have a brick and mortar. I mean, it was just accounts and installers." So my first thing that I wanted to do is a 5-year plan. Let's see what we can do with it, and it kind of worked out. I mean, but it was a lot of dedication. It was just grind, grind, grind. I mean, was I tired? Sure, but I did it.
The company who bought your company, were they the first ones to approach you with a serious intention to
No,
purchase?
no, they were actually the last people.
So when in the timeline from 18 to 24 were you first approached with a you know serious potential offer?
22 was whenever I got one of my first offers, and that was from one of the big guys. I did sign an NDA for the names. I can't
Was
tell
it
you.
a like a film manufacturer or like a retail dealer?
Retail dealer. That's
Okay.
yeah.
And then you turned it down because of the amount, you hadn't got to where you wanted to be at. What was the kind of primary, like, this isn't going to work? We're
Well, we
keep
we
going.
we talked, we talked, we talked. They wanted to see the books, and back then I didn't really keep books. I was kind of new at it. I mean, had invoices, so at that point I started to keep a log. Another year went by. They asked me again, "Hey, what's up? Do you have everything we need?" I'm like, "No, not yet."
So super important, real quick, to obviously keep your books if you ever have a chance of doing anything with your
Yeah,
business. Anything.
yeah.
Okay.
Keep a log. Keep
Your
all your
team, right?
resources, because they're going to want to know your profits and loss and all this stuff. I mean, a lot of the stuff I don't even know what it was. They ask all these questions. I'm like, I don't know the answer to that one. I mean, all I know is that there's a bunch of money in the bank, and I buy a bunch of film.
How much is in the bank usually?
You know, back one of the things I've learned is to invest my money. I try not to keep a lot, but back then, whenever I was running the business, I usually had to keep $500,000
So you're
minimum.
running a $4 million business per year, and you kept about 500,000 in operating cash flow in the company.
Yes, and being
Okay.
this big, I would always spend about between $40,000 to $100,000 every 2 weeks on product. And of course, at that time, whenever you're dealing with dealerships, you have to wait 30, 60 days to get paid. So at that point, you got to learn to budget. That was one of the reasons why I downsized in the past. It's not like having retail customers where you get paid on the spot. So
Right. And with that kind of volume, like you said, you're buying the product, you're holding the invoice, and you need the cash flow to be able to manage that. It
mhm.
also, I would imagine, mentally takes off a lot of pressure too, to know that you can focus on the business and you have plenty of oxygen because your overhead, your personal overhead, your home, your cars are not significant compared to before.
Yes, exactly.
But that's an important mental thing. You can make bad decisions based on pressure.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, let's just pretend somebody just got a Porsche account and they're wanting 5 cars done a day and they only have 1 or 2 rolls of film. I mean, how does that work out? And then they don't have money to buy more film. So you've got to call your competitor, hey man, can I buy a roll of film? Or your competitor is going to be like, let me go inside that dealership and try to steal it from them because they can't keep up with the volume.
You can't get it
That's one,
done quick enough. Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the mistakes from other PPF installers.
So you had this company approaching you in 22. You were getting your books in order. A couple of years went by. What happened?
Yeah, I was approached by Clear Car Concepts actually, and I didn't think they were serious at first. So I mean, we sat.
Email, phone call, text message? What happened? How did the
Um, Rob had been after me for maybe 6 months, but we've talked about it, but went away. Talked about it, went away.
like, the first time it came up, was it because you saw each other somewhere and you were like, "Hey, buy my business," and he's like, "Tim, what are you gonna sell?" Or how did that come up?
It was more of reputation, I think. I mean, because he's a pretty big wholesale account too. He does mainly window tint, and he has like 70 locations, dealerships where he works out of or does dealer work. And I can't recall the first time we met, not at all, but I do remember
Like, were
talking.
you putting feelers out there, or was you just never would say a word about selling and he just brought it up, do you think?
No, everybody at that time was like, Tim, what would it take to buy you out? And I always just mess with them and give them a stupid number. I mean,
Okay.
anyone which would, because I mean, how many times does people actually have X amount of cash on hand to buy
Okay.
somebody out?
Okay. What kind of wild numbers would you throw out there? Like, let's pretend it's like 2023. Hey, Tim, when are you gonna let me buy you out, bro? What's going
I
on?
mean,
When are
I
you gonna
would,
retire and open a Chick-fil-A?
I would always put out a stupid number like 15 mil. I mean, and
Okay.
then you
So
bargain for that.
15's you sold for less than 15 mil for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right. Okay.
yeah. I knew where
Okay.
you're getting at for a while,
I'm just
but
working
yeah.
you down to get to the number. But what I'm really trying to dig into, it's not about the number. It's about, kind of that missing piece typically in people's minds where you go like, I want to sell the company, right? But what do I do? Do I like mention it to people? Do I email them? Should I call them? Should I wait till I see them in person and kind of bring it up? How do you bring it up without looking desperate? Like, should you wait till somebody approaches you? Of course, that would be best, but you could wait your whole life. I mean, there's kind of that initial, th- that I'm trying to bridge the gap, since you were able to sell your 6-year-old company for millions and millions of dollars, potentially, possibly,
Yeah, 100,000.
approximately, guessing.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you don't see business owners running around. Hey man, you want to buy my company? Hey, you want to buy my company? It's not like that. It's one of
Of
those
course.
things where sometimes I joke around about stuff like the hookers and cocaine. So it's just like me. Hey man, you think you can buy me out? And they just look at me, and some people were serious.
So you
I
just
mean,
kind of throw it out in kind of a friendly, joking way and see if they catch it and throw something
mhm.
back at you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like if somebody wanted ask me to ask you how much per hour, and I'll be like, "Hey, Eric, how much per hour, bro?" And then I add my little tax on top. I mean, you may take it. I mean, if somebody offered 10 grand an hour, I'm not sure what you're gonna do, but would you
Like the
take it?
podcast?
No, no, no. I mean,
Like
somebody's like,
consulting?
Eric's a good looking guy. I really want
Yeah, like consulting, I would do it. If you're trying to offer me $10,000 per
him.
hour to consult, we'll do it. We could do it after this even.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, there you go. So, it's like joking like that. And then
I
later
get
you might, yeah,
yeah.
are you serious about giving me 10 grand? I'm like, well, maybe.
It's inconsequential. You're bringing it up, but it's lighthearted and there's no bad scenario. There's no worst case scenario.
No,
So
no, no.
let me ask you this. If somebody's like throws that out there, right? Like, hey, so and so, when are you gonna buy me out? And they go, would you really sell? I mean, how much would you want for your company?
Mhm.
Now, at that moment, in my opinion, before you throw that out there, you should have a confident number that you've thought about, that you've determined is your number. Because if you come back with looking clueless, that's not a good look, right? Because if you don't really know how much you want to sell your company for, but you're talking about selling it, you kind of look like you're really joking. And then where are you pulling this number out of your ass? And it's probably now you're like, somebody's going to buy my company. Okay, it's worth it. So tell me, how did you determine the value of your company and where you should start and so on, without mentioning the number, of course?
I already knew that I'm bringing in at least 4 mil per year. I mean, every year just goes up and up. So I'm kind of glad I waited. And so for me, that's why I just said 15, just to mess with people. And if somebody said, "Hey man, I get 8 mil right now," I'm like, "Run it." Or if they got
Okay, so
10.
you're just saying shoot really high and see where they come in.
Hmm. It's also a confidence, I think. I mean, if you get confidence, like, you're not going to go buy some new company that's some random name. Again, most people are intrigued by the name Felony Film and hookers and cocaine.
Who wouldn't want to own a company like
No,
that?
no, not at
Yeah.
all. I mean, just like sometimes I meet my clients and they always ask me the backstory on my name. And they're like, Tim, that is actually genius because I'm always going to remember the cocaine guy. And
Yeah.
you're like, the cocaine guy. But that's going to stand out. Um, I don't know. Let's use another name here. It's just a basic name. Um,
Tim's Tint.
Tim's Tent. Yeah, there you go. Tim's Tent. Tim's Awesome Tent. I mean, no one's going to remember that.
Tat for short.
Yes.
Nobody's gonna remember that for sure. You know what I do remember is your black Porsche GT3 that you put lines of cocaine in vinyl on. And I feel like I saw it for sale on Facebook in Georgia, like right now, like yesterday. I feel like it's definitely it, but might
Yeah,
maybe
it was. It was.
it's for
Uh,
sale right now, isn't it? Or no?
oh, no. Is it for sale now? No,
I
no.
feel like I just saw it. I was gonna send you a screenshot on Facebook Marketplace in the anyway.
Dude, you should. You should because I traded it in for the Rolls Royce. And at motor cars, they're like, "Why do you have these?" I'm like, "Well, it's final. You can remove it." And sure enough, they did remove the decals. But it was great advertising because nobody knew what it was.
What was the biggest, was there any like big moments that you kind of got like attention for your business or some sort of ROI that you felt like, all right, I'm glad I put ththese lines of cocaine on my Porsche GT3?
Everywhere I went. I mean, you drive down the street, somebody's taking a picture. Same thing with I love MILF stickers, I love meth, or that 3-inch penis club on the back of my GT3 RS right now.
So people are
It's
taking pictures all the time, right? And sharing
yes.
because they're laughing. They're saying, look
Hmm.
at this. I can't believe it.
And everybody knows it's me because it says PPF Diva on the back of that particular car. And the Rolls Royce says Mr. Felon. So you have to advertise in a different way. When they see an off the wall tag like PPF Diva, I'm like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, that's just something. The guys at the dealership didn't think I was going to put that on a car, and I did. And then the 3-inch penis club, that gets a lot of attention. People's like, why would you put that on your car? But they're going to remember that car every time
They
they
wouldn't
see
have
it.
given it to you if you weren't supposed to put on your car. So like, obviously. So you, from when the company that purchased you first approached you, Tim, when are you going to let me buy you out? 18 million. How about this? How about that? How much time passed from first approach to deal is sealed and money's on the way?
I think from the negotiations, about 2 to 3 days until
Hey,
we
what?
actually,
2 to 3 days? That's it?
2 to 3 days of negotiating a number.
Okay.
And after the number, probably we could have closed on it before Christmas, but I wanted to finish out the year.
Okay.
So they're okay with that. I'm like, all right, cool. And then they told me, Tim, you can keep the profits. I'm like, really? And then they also stepped in and helped. So the last 2-3 weeks of the year, they were cutting my kits. I was showing them what to do, getting them ready for the rush, which, you know, again, how many people's cutting kits at 11 o'clock at night? These guys were. I mean,
Are they still now? Like, have they absorbed your business into normal operating hours?
yes, they have. So you know, I'm not sure what or how if they've made changes, but at the end of the day, they're like, Tim, here's your money. You're done. Step away. We don't need you. I'm like, perfect. Because if I would have sold to somebody else for, you know, I took a small cut off of myself versus the bigger guys. The reason for that is because I didn't want to work for the bigger guy for 2 more years, you know,
Sure.
at a salary, you know, kind of doing everything. Um, I'm not saying I was too good for it. I don't know the word I'm looking for here. You want to help me out?
I mean, I totally understand you just not wanting to. You're
No,
2 years,
yeah,
2 years, and you may want to do something else. And if you're selling the company, you know, you're a man of your own. Like, you look like a kind of guy who likes to blaze your own path. So, you know,
yeah.
I don't know if
It's
you'd
I
want to
don't
be number four in a company.
Yeah, I don't want to like go somewhere and somebody say, "Hey, well, you have to be here at a specific time." Just like Tint Wiz was like, "Hey, you have to be on by 6 o'clock."
Like the podcast, right? So,
Yes,
okay, you made a clean exit, don't need Tim anymore. How many years are you not allowed to start a business in your area? And then, or are you able to just go outside your area now? Or what is the Tim can't PPF rules look like?
the Tim Can't PPF rules are for 3 years, 3 years, and just in Georgia. So I did go outside and try to do something in South Carolina, but at the same time, I'm like, why am I doing this? So we kind of shut that down. You know, it lasted a few weeks, maybe a month. Did some cars, but at that point, driving you know, from Georgia to South Carolina wasn't far. I mean, an hour, hour and a half. But at that point, I'm sitting here going, why am I still working? I mean, even my girlfriend asked me the same thing. She said, Tim, you don't have to work again. You're making X amount of money a week by doing absolutely nothing off my passive income. And I was trying to fill a void. So I was used to getting checks every week. And then now I'm getting nothing. Well, I mean, I get paid once a month. So I still get dividends from several things. So actually twice a month. And so I was trying to fill that void of I wasn't getting anything. I like to see checks every week. Felt like I was unemployed. And you know, it took me like 6 months to finally deal with the fact I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to work. I don't have to get up at 6 in the morning. I don't have to get 1 hour sleep every day. I can get a full 8 hours.
Isn't that tricky though? How there's almost like this knee jerk reaction after the sale to like go do something else. Even so, like you said, there's no, it's just a knee jerk reaction. It's just like, what now? Do it. And reality is, there's nothing wrong with doing something else and starting something else. But like, why not give yourself, like you said, 6 months, 3 months, a year, see how you feel before committing the next 10 years of your life into a new business, or
Mhm.
5 or 4, and you know, whatever it turns into.
Well, I think the first 48 hours, I already had a new business idea and I started to work on it. I've got 7 ideas to date that I'm still working on. But the problem with new businesses, it takes time to build. You got to do
Sure.
the paperwork. You got to do this. You got to do the research before. Because what people don't realize is you will fail. I mean, everybody fails somewhere. And these 7 ideas, of course, 4 of them is probably going to fail. I mean, not really, but maybe. But I'm always prepared for failure. But you know, as of about 2 weeks ago, I finally told myself after August 31st, I'm not doing anything for the rest of the year. I'm not even going to focus on these other businesses. So after WFR, that's it. No more.
Let's
And,
go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, and I hear you have some pallets coming in. What's in the pallets?
Somebody was asking about your head being shiny, but they could have been talking about
Uh,
my forehead.
no, mine too.
You
But
know, if you wanted to
this is
talk about the new business now or later.
yeah, you see these big old lights.
Yes. Very nice. Nice projector. So
So yeah. So
WFR is not far. It's how many days away?
oh,
20.
three.
It's like 3 weeks. Yeah.
Mhm.
Really looking forward to it. And we're sponsoring the welcome reception dinner.
Mhm.
So that's a great way to kick off the event. And then one of the new things at WFR event, I mean, here's the thing. If we're talking about new things, there's like 150 new things. But one of the new things is the PPF competition that you're in charge of.
I am. So can we talk about that for a minute?
Absolutely.
This is my first time. Cash and the guys, they all approached me. Hey, Tim, come to this meeting. We want you to be a part of this WFR. I'm like, okay. I mean, I have the time now. So we met. They wanted me to head the PPF competition. So my rules, I've never done one of these. I have no idea. I mean, I've been a competitor several times, and I've always had complaints. So this gives me an option of doing my own PPF competition and part of the organizing the event. So now I'm one of the members of the group, I guess. And so this is the reason why there's no rules. I mean, we have rules, but how you install is how you install. You want to wrap your edges, cool, wrap them. If you don't want to wrap your edges, just make sure the lines are straight all the way across. I mean, take your time. You have 2 hours, two people. I mean, it could be two people or even one person. If it was me, it would just be me by myself. I'd just go in.
Obviously.
But if it's two people, take your time. Anybody can win this. I mean, I've never advanced. Any PPF competition I've ever entered, I've never advanced. I'm not sure why. Maybe I wasn't good. It wasn't my time. 24 years, I don't have one of those trophies. It's kind of
Hold
sad.
on real quick. So how many times have you entered the PPF competition at the WFCT?
How many times have I
Entered, competed?
um, total competitions? Maybe three.
Okay. It's not that many.
No, it's not that many. But I mean, I know one XTC event did a fender in 5 minutes and 13 seconds, but I left a pocket of water. Oops. But I also had no light. But that's an excuse. Don't use excuses. I could have used the whole time, and I was just focused on being quick.
How many people are competing in your competition at WFR?
There's 18 total, 6, 12. Yeah, 18. So there's
18 registered or 18 spots potentially?
18 spots. 12 is registered so far, so there's still 6 available.
So 6 available spots, and then you have a 1 in 18 chance of winning first, obviously second, third. What are the prizes?
$10,000 first place, 5,000 second, and 3 third. So I mean, it's great odds.
Pretty solid.
Pretty solid.
I mean, better than great odds.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's capped at 18, really keeps, where your odds are. You're not, number 18, and then there's actually 36. That's really, really good. So 10,000 first, 5 second, 3 third. I think you said for 1 in 18, 2 in 18, 3 in 18. 6 spots left. If you want to register, you go to windowfilmrevolution.com and you join the competition.
And you can do it solo if you want. I mean, I'd rather have a 2-man team, but
are most people doing teams or solo so far?
Most people so far are doing teams.
Is there anybody you're particularly looking forward to seeing compete that's already registered?
I want to see Mike Norg work.
Okay, Mike Norg. I think everybody wants to see him work because I don't know if he's competed at WFCT in a while. I don't, I don't recall. So it's going to be.
Hey, wait, let me correct you. WFR.
Or WFR.
Yeah,
Well,
or either one.
Brand new. No, what I was saying was WFR is the first year he could compete in PPF because it's the first year it's being introduced by you. And what I'm saying is I don't think he's competed in any other events that I recall seeing in the last few years, at least. So it'll be exciting to see him at WFR.
Oh, of course, I agree. I mean, I think you're on the podcast with whenever he was giving away the PPF or tent vests.
Yeah, I think so.
And for him to say, "Hey, I'm going to give everybody a $125 vest," I was like, "Holy crap! That was actually magnificent." But great for business.
Very generous person, and anybody who's like been around him or worked with him or been to one of his events, that's I mean, that's Mike. He'll be generous with his products, but as well as his time
Of
and
course. I mean,
experience.
he's definitely one of my favorites. I mean, he's a great guy to talk to. He'll answer your phone call. He will tell you exactly what you need to do, except for lots of hot water. I don't know about all that.
What, the hot water?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
He
that's
like
one of
just
that's the technique, right? It's undeniable. It works. You don't have to do it, but
Mhm.
right?
No, 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 no. It's great, but he always says, "Tim, use some hot water." I'm like, bro, I'm old school. I just yank it up, spray it with water. Sometimes I use a heat gun if I have to, which would act as the same thing.
I mean,
And
and
then
you're operating in all these dealerships. If you had to rely on hot water, I assume that would be one more thing you have to deal with.
it would be. I mean, when people watch me do install, I have a alpha blade, a red dot, and I have a 4-inch black squeegee. That's like $2.50. That's
So so that's a really important point to touch on, right? Because part of the success of your business was the simplicity of it, right? It's simplicity in installation, simplicity in, your overhead and how you acquire your customers. Simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. If you overcomplicated your installation, you may never have been able to see the opportunity of doing what you did, right? Because you'd say, I can't do it there. I need my this, that environment, and so on.
yeah. Most people need a keg. They need this. They need a peel board. I mean, like you said, you have to be simple. I'd roll in with a milk crate with 4 bottles, um, baby shampoo for extra, in case I need more soap, a clay bar just in case I need a clay bar, pair of scissors, one squeegee, one knife, and a heat gun, and a chair to roll around in. And trying to keep it simple. It's like I would tell my vendors, I say, guys, you need to have race ramps. Why? Well, if I bring my race ramps, I'm going to charge you $250. Why would you charge us that? Because that teaches you a lesson. You could have spent $250 for a set of race ramps and keep them for yourself. Or if, being simple also is people don't realize I never had to wash a car. I never had to prep the car.
Mhm.
So that would be up to the retailers to prep it and wash it. I mean, it takes literally 5-10 minutes to do it.
Okay, so tell me, did you get kickback ever when you pitched that to a dealer? And how did you potentially, if you did, deal with it?
Well, one particular dealer, we just washed the cars. One of the Porsche dealers, we just did it ourselves. Just because if you're having the new guys in the back that's making 10, $15 an hour deep washing or whatever you want to call it, they're not going to do a good job. So at that point, we just did it ourselves. But some of the smaller guys, I would tell them, hey, look, just take the time to clay bar, have it up to par, spray out the corners, the edges, everything that would have dirt. But it would save them time too, because again, if you're doing 10 cars, times that by 10 minutes, that's a lot of time you're wasting. On top of the driving in between locations.
At the WFR reunion in 3 weeks in Chattanooga, Tennessee, other than the PPF competition, are you in charge of, or do you know about any sort of opportunities to get like hands-on with PPF for any sort of training, demos? Will people be able to learn from you?
I think I will be doing some demos, and I will also be speaking. So every day you're going to get a chance for a couple hours. I'll have a room and give the spill on how to build your business, how to do this, how to do that,
So
how
you're
to.
speaking, you're going to be speaking all 3 days?
I am. I am. Yes.
Beautiful. You're one of many speakers. Not
Yes.
that many, but like there's a lot of opportunities to see speakers.
Oh, of course. And at the same time, you can stop me, chat with me. Everybody knows whenever I'm at an event, I'm usually bombarded with people that I'm talking to or answering questions.
So the
Um,
value of getting a little one-on-one time or even group time with Tim Ham, you used to do some training, right? And there's a handful of people in the industry that you've trained. How much did you used to charge for this training, Tim?
the training is usually $2,500 a day. That's just a watch. Now, if you want hands on, it's about.
Say, how much is it? Sorry, I laughed over your number.
Yeah, yeah. It's $2,500 per day just to watch me work.
Right,
That's
but
kind of.
what was the second number if you actually wanted to use your hands?
It's $5,000.
A
It's
day.
double
Okay.
a day.
And now we both have a grin on our face. Mine is not because like yours is because of all the money you made. Mine is just because um I'm laughing at the 2,500 just to watch. Did people do the 2,500 just to watch?
Everybody did the $2,500. Nobody ever paid the $5,000.
So nobody really got hands on. They just came and spectated.
Yes, they spectated, and it was minimum 2 days.
Okay.
But they learned so much, because I mean, I still get text messages even to this day that people's like, Tim, thank you. These little things that we've learned from you has saved me so much time. And it, it's like I tell people, if you're on your deathbed, if you can get 10 more minutes with a loved one, whoever it may be, is that worth $2,500? They always say, yeah. This is me trying to save you time at the end of the week so you can go home to your loved ones. If you can get better by 5 minutes per job, it's worth the $2,500 one-time fee, or $5,000 2 days. I'm sorry. And people never realize that, because as you get faster, you're going to learn my techniques and get faster and faster and faster. Instead of doing 1 car a day, now you're doing 2 cars a day. Instead of doing 2, you're doing 4 by yourself. And just little techniques help you through the day, help you get quicker, help you make more money.
So, yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
No, at the end of the day, we all want to make more money. We want to be more productive. We want to get our name out there. Am I correct?
Absolutely. And something about the pricing that you just mentioned, the $2,500 just to watch, is I know by knowing you that it's important to you that you're not going to take anybody's money that didn't get the value from that. Like, you're not that type of person. You're just not. So knowing that you're charging 2,500, you have to then live up to that expectation and leave them with value. I'm curious, for somebody else who says, Tim, I'm fucking awesome as well, and I think I could be an amazing trainer, but I just don't know how to ask for $2,500 just to watch. Is there anything that kind of you could share that helped you establish that price, be confident with that price, make sure that you were delivering for that price, and so on?
It blinked out for just a second. Can you repeat the last?
Yeah. Is there anything that you could share that helped you be confident with presenting that price, with making sure you're providing the value for that price? Because, a lot of times there's a gap between somebody who says, I know I can provide so much value, but nobody wants to pay that much, or I don't know how I could make it worth it, or this or that. You have a bold number, but like we said, you are it's very important to provide the value. Where did that number come from? How did you maintain it? How did that go over? Are you frozen? I'm sure Tim will be back any second. Tim. So he'll probably just be restarting and coming back, and then we will continue. But yeah, as we were saying, Window Film Revolution reunion is coming up in just about 3 weeks in Chattanooga, Tennessee. There's still tickets available. There's still available competition tickets as well as general attendance tickets. And if you are attending, make sure to get there at the beginning on Tuesday, as we will be hosting a welcome reception with a whole menu of food and drinks. Drinks will be complimentary, and it's definitely going to be the right way to kick off the WFR event. And then we have something fun planned for the booth. We think will be interactive and laugh. That's Tim. Hang on. Yes, rejoin. He asked if we're still rolling. So we'll just get him to rejoin. And then we'll continue from there. And then just about a month after the WFR reunion, about 3 weeks after, is the WFCT event in Orlando, Florida. And that's September 19th through the 21st. And then here's Tim.
Oh, there I am. I think that was my internet. Sorry about that.
It's all good. What were we were saying I was asking you if there was anything in regards to how you came up with that pricing and so on. Training is something that we see more and more people offering in their facilities, or some people travel, and establishing a price to make it worth it, can be a tricky one. And I'm just curious how you came up with the price and how you made sure you were providing the value, and how you maybe dealt with people who thought it might be a high price, if you did at all.
In all reality, it actually was a high price. 2,500 bucks just to watch somebody for a day. You don't get any tools. You don't get hands on. The reason why I did that was just to throw a off the wall number out there. It's like
That's a trend.
it is a trend with me at least. But if I was doing $500 classes, just to watch, everybody would come see me. And at the same time, if everybody came to see me, they'd be wasting my time because it would slow my day down. Because then I would have to explain why I'm doing this, why I'm doing that, how you do this. At the same time, it's wasting my time because I could make way more. I mean, there's one time Byung from Korea, he came out. We had a long night that night. I mean, he's seen me make 30,000 bucks in a day. He's like, "Holy shit, Tim!" But he stayed through all the way to the end. Him and his friend, I forgot his name, Sam.
Okay. Yep.
Is trying to figure out a number that's semi-fair but expensive because I didn't want everybody calling me. Everybody's, "Tim, how much?" I'm like, "It's 2,500 bucks." "Wow, that's so much money." I'm like, "Well, it's not for you then. I mean, it's an investment for your business. It's an investment for yourself. And thinking about it in the long run, will they benefit?" And I always tell everybody, "You're going to pay me all this money for no reason. I'm going to go buy a watch with it." I legitimately tell them that. Hopefully, it pisses them off where, "Damn, I just gave Tim a bunch of money. I need to learn something out of this." Right?
I mean, I get the concept, um, for sure. And like you said, whether it's a lot of money or a little is just what you take out of it, because it could be a very little bit amount of money. So not trying to even paint into a corner like you were charging a lot per se, just more of the mindset you had, since others, like you said, it has to be worth it, right? Because if it's not worth it, you're not going to do it. If you don't do it, no one benefits. If it's too cheap and you don't do it, continue to do it, no one benefits. So it has to be worth it for all parties. I want to throw in Mother Marion from EPD mentioned their booth at Window Film Revolution, and that it's going to be really, really fun. So they always go all out. They always make it really, really fun. And definitely not a booth you want to be late to. So that'll be a lot of fun. And that's, I think, kind of, we're going a little off topic, but I think that's, to me, something that's always exciting, is seeing what everybody brings in the booths, what they set up, like what, whole thing.
No, and I do have to agree. Mother Marion, I love her to death, her and her daughter.
Yeah.
I still have the world record of most windshields to date to be done in one day.
How many is it?
13 in
With
3
with brace
with Bray, yes.
stretch?
Bray stretch.
Okay. When did you establish that record?
I did that so at Tinter Battles.
So
I
there were people that saw this happen?
Yes, I did take a few people with me to train them.
Very cool.
And at the same time, it was for a good friend of mine, Mickey and Darko from Eurofed. Shout out to those guys.
So 13 windshields in how long of time?
About 3 hours.
One person?
No, two people. Two
Two
people.
people, 13 windshields. You said 2 hours?
No. Between 3 and 4. Let's just say
3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 hours. So half a day, two people, 13 windshields. That's what could be done.
It could be, and that was just us taking our time. You know me, I like to smoke cigarettes. And then we're bullshitting around, you know.
Did you never run into that problem? You smoke cigarettes, like you smoke a lot of cigarettes, nothing wrong with that. But you're working at like around brand new cars and dealers, like you never left a scent, like just being even around, like you never ran into that problem.
I don't like to drive the cars.
No, but you're just kind of even around them. It doesn't woof.
No, not at all.
Hmm?
I mean, sometimes I even smoke in people's shops. They just look at me, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm smoking a cigarette, bro."
I'm sure that's when you're first getting to know them, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the rich people say, if you have money, you can kind of do whatever you want. I didn't have money then, but now I can kind of be like, light up a cigarette and just have fun.
I'm sure everybody appreciates that. Mother Marion was asking how much money you made, Tim, doing the 13 windshields in 4 hours with 2 people.
I didn't make as much as I wanted to because I was training 2 people and we messed up 2 of the skins. So that came out of my pocket.
You like the product?
I do like the product, yes.
A quick installation. I mean, that's fast for anything.
It is, it is. I mean, I was thinking about entering a competition, but I don't have a partner.
And there is a windshield stretch competition as well at the WFR. That's what you're talking about.
It is, it is. I mean, if somebody wants to sponsor me and be my partner, there's only one drawback to that. If I win first place or we win first place, I'd like to donate it to Tenders for a Cause. That's probably why I don't have a partner.
That's very nice.
You know, I've
There's
always
somebody
said
else
that.
to get behind that.
Even with the XTC, every time I entered a competition, I've always told people I'm just going to donate the money, and people's like, why in the hell would you do that? And it's not about
Because you're rich. You just sold your no. I'm
no,
kidding.
no, it's about giving back to other people. I mean, there's other people that need things more than we do. I mean, everybody in the industry,
Absolutely.
Tenders for a Cause actually helps people. So, I mean, I've done that too. I've secretly just kind of helped people at times, and I don't advertise it. I don't go videoing myself for Christmas, handing out gift bags to homeless people, whatever. I don't do that. That's just
You
that's
don't
not.
video it or you don't do it?
No, I do it, but I don't video it.
Good.
Yeah. So I
You
mean, a
could
lot of
though. It would inspire people. This is a weird thing where like you don't want to look like a douchebag doing anything. Nobody wants to look like a douchebag doing things for the wrong reason. It's supposed to be a selfless act. It's supposed to be an act of good. So you want to do it. But at the same token, if you're filming it with the intention of inspiring others to maybe do something like that or be part of something, or maybe even just to know that somebody out there is, doing a little good in the world. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because if nobody ever shares the good stuff because they fear being a douche, then all the douches are the only ones sharing stuff. And then the world's a douche. So, you could film it.
I know, but I don't want to look like that douche that runs around videoing somebody going, "Hey man, look, here's
No,
a
I
stick."
get that.
No.
I think it's terrible, especially like when people are doing like you're giving out like to somebody less fortunate, you're putting a camera in their face. Like
Mhm.
that's wrong place, wrong time for sure. But just maybe that you're doing it or something. You and your Porsche full of fucking Happy Meals or whatever you're doing. I feel like that's very inspirational. People need to know that good people out there are doing good things.
Oh no, yeah, Christmas time, I always spend about $6,500 for Toys for Tots, and I were always in the middle of the night taking and fill up the boxes at Hennessy Porsche. And they're coming going, where do these toys come from? Well, that's me. And sometimes I take some of the guys from Porsche and we run to Walmart and fill up the buggies. But at the same time, it's donating to kids. It's a tax write-off, and you're doing something really good for them, for other people.
Legacy over currency. That's a Gary V quote that I think is a very powerful one to remember.
Definitely is.
Question for you, Tim.
Sure.
Oh, hold on.
Is it
Reading
from
a
a stripper?
comment. Is it what?
Is it from a stripper?
No, it's from me, but it looks like there was a good review. It's just a little far. It looks like I can see 5 stars from Erica Miller regarding the training that you did. So it looks like some positive feedback. We could probably pull it up on screen.
Oh, yes.
So it says we had the opportunity to get to know Tim, just for the audio listeners. So grateful for him. He helped put us on the map for PPF. We are grateful for your work, your mentorship, and your friendship. We miss making money with you. 5 stars, a trophy emoji. I'll call you out. When all the comments were made about your car having all the packages in it, everyone, the millions of packages, what you told everyone, the millions of packages were for Tint, and in real life, you were donating all the kids, all the toys to kids. I definitely butchered that at the end, but that's extremely nice.
Yeah, I think last year, whenever I broke my foot, I had all these toys in my house because I couldn't go shopping. So I did the online ordering through Walmart, and I had a million packages show up at my house. And I was disabled, so I couldn't actually move. And everybody's like, Tim, we'll come help you. We'll come help you. And one day I was just like, look, I just did it myself. I loaded my Cayenne up all by myself, packed it full. I did put a picture on Facebook just saying packages fit perfectly. Didn't say what it was. And whenever I got the Porsche, I had all the sales guys come and unload the car and get rid of the trash. But it's one of those things, again, doing good, but not saying you're doing it. So it's one of those things where you stay under the radar and not trying to get the clout, as they would say. Again, it's one of those where people already talk about me already. I mean, it's good, it's bad. Some people are not fond of me. I mean, I don't really care. Um, but at the end of the day, I want to inspire people. I mean, I get a lot of messages of people saying, Tim, you've helped me so much. Or thanks for answering your phone call, or thanks for telling me how to do this or do that. Sometimes I don't have time to get to all the messages because I think I do more work answering my phone now that I'm retired than I did whenever I worked.
So retired, what is realistically on the forefront for you in the future? What are you looking at? What do you think the next 10, 15 years of your life are going to look like?
I think I haven't decided yet. I mean, I've got several things in place, but I think I'm going to work on them in 2025.
Are they going to involve PPF?
No, no PPF.
Are they going to involve ceramic coating or window film or vinyl?
No, no, not at all. I mean, I made
outside of this industry is what you're
outside. Yeah. I mean, I think I've made my mark. I'm still helping. I mean, I'm still going to be in the industry. Hence the reason for WFR and some of the, tender battles or whatever it may be, XDC. I'm still going to go there just because there's a name, there's a reputation, helping other people. I still offer consulting and training if somebody needs that. Of course, I will fly out to your location now, which I think I've done about 6 times so far this year. It's the same price, but of course you have to pay for expenses, which I'm pretty cheap anyway, so it's no big deal.
Do you watch the weekly video that Tritech puts out for the last 2 years called A Day in the Life of?
I have not.
Okay, so we'll skip that. And so David Chuckman has been putting out for the last 2 years A Day in the Life of podcast, or it's not a podcast, it's a video. It's on YouTube, it's on Facebook. I watch it on YouTube every single week. And I'm surprised you don't watch it, Tim. But I'm not surprised because you're a very busy person.
No. These last 6 months I've been catching up on shows. I'm almost finished with Lost. I watched.
Too Hot to Handle?
No, I haven't watched that. What is that?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, what is that? Is that
Netflix
your
dating show? Keep going. Any
no?
Mario Kart
Uh,
since you've been retired?
what was that?
I said any Mario Kart since you've been retired?
No. I did play Mario 3 with my brother the other day. We fired up the old Nintendo. I really have been still trying to find myself. So I mean, I've done a bunch of Lego sets. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, Lego sets. I'm going to try to get back into video games. I've got every game that you can think of, but now sitting there for hours trying to play it because I can't sit still.
So, okay, you said next business will get started sometime in 2025. That's only, 5 months away. What key elements, we don't need to talk about the actual business idea, but what key elements, if any, do you feel like sharing that you want to bring forward into that new business? Meaning, give me a little bit of shape? Do you feel like it's going to be a brick and mortar business? Do you want to keep it online? Do you want it to have a big staff, no staff, big investment, small investment? Like kind of, what are you seeing?
I'm not into the brick and mortar just because I don't like to have rent, bills, and bills. So, I mean, the next one may be back into real estate, homes, and more business complexes, And again, my girlfriend tells me, look, you still make enough money, which it is. And one of the things that I do invest is Yieldy.com. You put your money in, you get a 8-9% off your money. I mean, that's way better than investing your money into a complex. Like, I'll make this pretty short and quick. Like, let's say you have $4 million. You want to go buy an office complex or a plaza, whatever you want to call it. 30 years, how much is your mortgage on that? Between $30,000 and $40,000, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So if you can invest it and get 10% back with zero risk, guaranteed money, and you still have access to your $4 million. But right now, you would get $33,333 just in passive income, just in interest. So instead of dealing with paying your mortgage, wondering if the renters are going to pay, what if they're broken toilet, leaky ceiling, or what if you have to evict them? You don't have to worry about all that stuff. That's one of the things where I needed to figure out because I have 21 homes. And when somebody,
Let's back up real quick. You said you have 21 homes.
21 homes.
21 rental homes, like single family?
Yeah.
You own them in cash or with a mortgage?
No, they all have mortgages.
All of them?
Yeah.
How long has it been since you've been collecting these?
Some of them they sign a 1-year lease, 2 years.
No. How long have you been collecting these houses? Like you started buying in 2008, 2019,
2000, maybe 2000.
Around 2000. Okay, so that was a good time to buy. I mean, that was kind of the upswing of real estate before the crash, before the next upswing. That was a good time to buy for sure.
It is. And one of the things that people don't realize is investing your money correctly. So lately, since the last couple of months, I've just been having lunches every day with people that have more than me. And they're all business owners too. Some are retired, some are not.
How are you finding these people? Through your Porsche club?
Just friends. I mean, I have a lot of friends. They're all business owners or whatnot.
How are you making these friends though when you're shouting cocaine and hookers, but you're making all these high-end friends? Where are you making these friends? Tell me more details. Is it at Applebee's? Is it at the Porsche meetings? I feel like these Porsche things you're going to with your GT3 RS, probably opening a door here or there.
Yeah, some of the car clubs like DDATL or whatnot, or a lot of guys with McLarens and stuff. And we all get together and go to wineries, do drives, or have lunch. And then certain ones I pick out. I pick out the guys that are like me, that don't care. There's this gentleman named Scott Me. I've known him for a while through Facebook, but lately we've been doing dinners and lunches. And my friend Thomas Kang, he has a bunch of hair, not salons, but he sells wigs and stuff, beauty supply. That's it. I always pick people in different professions. I do have lunch sometimes because everybody wants to now have lunch with me. They want to pick my brain. They want me to invest in them. I'm not looking to invest into anybody. I'm kind of like a mini Shark Tank. Now I'm meeting other people too that want to invest together. Or if not, some of these people want to put up the money and let's all make, new ideas.
Right.
It's something different. So, everybody that I pick are different industries. I know nothing about these industries. So, we sit there, we talk, and we figure out strategies, how to make more money, even though I don't need more money, because I always ask everybody, what is enough money? Let me ask you that. What is enough money to live off per month?
If we're talking about enough to not have to work, is that the idea? Like enough to not have to make any more money, depending on your age, I would say in the current time, you probably need about $10 million. I think if you have less than $10 million completely, and I'm saying total net worth, and this is not investment advice, but I think if you were hypothetically 35, 40 years old, if you say, I am hanging up my work shoes and we are no longer working, I am not, I'm going to invest, but I have to be somewhat conservative, but I'm going to invest. I think 10 million is a really safe number, but at the same token, one could live off of $5,000 a month and live a very healthy, amazing, fruitful, fulfilled life because you have low overhead. Maybe your house is paid off, your car is paid off. $5,000 goes an extremely long way. You don't need $10 million, which could kick off, 10,000, 15,000 a month. Or 10,000 a month, maybe. Anyway, how does that mesh with where you were at with the question?
Well, see, and that's the thing with me is what is enough for me? I mean, so I'm gonna just be honest with one of my passive incomes with Yieldy. I know I've said that twice now, Joe.
Yieldy thing real quick. Let's pause for a second because first of all, obviously you're not giving financial advice, nor am I, but Yieldy is your investment. It's not FDIC insured, right? Like
it's guaranteed.
You use the word guaranteed, and I just want to get to the bottom. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm being more inquisitive. My understanding is companies like that, typically, as long as they're not fucking running some sort of Ponzi scheme on the back end that's not being uncovered until it's uncovered, you're safe because it's very, it's safe investing and it's great. But isn't the risk that potentially the company, if something, isn't behind the, on the other side of things, if they're mismanaging what they're doing
Mhm.
and it gets uncovered, there's no guarantee you get the money back at that point. It just all collapses and everybody
Well,
fucking panics.
I thought the same thing when I first heard of this. I mean, this was back in 2000. My girlfriend's worked there 15 years.
Okay, so she's worked there. She has more insight, and I'm not in any way
Yes.
trying. I'm just being inquisitive.
Yeah. No, that's true because at first I didn't trust it. I'm like, how am I getting 10% guaranteed? I'm like, that just makes no fucking sense. If I need my money back, you give them 30 days, you have all your money back.
But like if there's a cash call, like everybody's fucking withdrawing their money, that's when shit really gets like fucking, But anyway, sorry.
It is. So anyway, she already had my money invested within 48 hours, which is a good thing. She handles where my money goes, which deals they go into, but it's always guaranteed too because they only loan. They're hard money lender. They give up to 60% of what the property is worth. So at the end of the day, if they quit making their payments, you still get paid. That means I'm going to get paid no matter what on the 10th of every month. I think a few of the people here that's watching right now have seen my bank account where I just get free money for no passive income. It's not.
I mean, it's not for no reason. It's money makes money.
Yeah, money makes money, and I've learned this from the rich people that quit working for your money, let your money work for you. Instead of me going out, whenever I first sold, everyone knows I went and bought another 911. All my cars are paid for. They're like, Tim, you're just going on a spending spree. I bought like 4 cars, but that was the money that I had left over from my investments.
But I mean, the key here, in a way, is not necessarily like you're not necessarily a product of great investments. Not saying you haven't made great investments and you are a great investor. What I'm saying is you're a product of making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
You made a lot of money because you're not sitting on chairs from passive income. You're sitting on chairs from a ton of fucking money. And then you had so much money that you were able to buy cars, watches, purses, Legos, more Legos than probably anybody in the United States, multiple houses, and invest money while building a business and living a comfortable lifestyle. I did mention the watches. So what I'm saying is the key here, and it's a compliment, right? Like a huge compliment. And what I'm getting at is I want to paint the proper picture, but like you ran your business extremely profitably. You didn't get all this by, putting aside $1,000 a month. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You still should. You should put aside whatever you can put aside, even if it's $10 a month. But you're a product of making a very profitable company.
Yes, and one of the things for making profit is no overhead. Hence, I shot the extra money that I saved and I gave it to my installers. I mean, my installers are making between 150 and 500,000 bucks a year. That's a lot of money. That's more money than a lot of doctors make. At the same time, we're completing jobs. We're getting large tasks finished. I mean, main thing is completing the jobs. But money motivates your installers. That's what a lot of people don't realize is you're paying. I see some people making $40,000, $50,000. I'm like, well, what the shit? I mean, I wish I had those installers. But the next thing is once you take your money, you build up your inventory. So hence when I was telling you I had 20, 30, 40 rolls of every size. Once I executed that, I started putting money away into yielding. I mean, whether it's $1,000, 10,000 bucks. Every time I get a little bit of profit, I would overpay on my house. And then I figured out you don't have to, I think I owed like $350 on this house. I got a really good deal. It's worth maybe right about $1 million. But if I would have paid it off, instead I took that money and invested it with Yieldy. At 10%, I'm actually profiting $719 a month by not paying my house off.
Right, because the mortgage is far lower percentage than you're getting.
It is. And I was at 5.5% back then because I couldn't get approved for a house because I'm a business owner. So I did a bank statement loan. And not to mention the tax write-offs. I can still write off my interest, this, and this. And so, again, speaking with people that have more than me that are better off than I am. So that's whenever I started figuring out my circle needs to be smaller. So I started to shrink my circle to people with more money than me, the richer. Debt is good, especially with the mortgage industry. I mean, don't pay off your house unless you have a 9% interest rate.
Let me ask you this. Thinking about the people who are most likely listening to this podcast, what would you say the top 3 actionable things you think, like changes they should probably make in their businesses if you were trying to generalize and hit the most people with something that applies to them? What are the top 3 things?
I think the number one would be and this goes to anybody, whether you're an installer, you work at Applebee's, or whoever it may be, is when people get raises or start making more money, the first thing they do is go get a bigger house, get a newer car, spend more money, upgrade the lifestyle. Sometimes that's not worth it. That's why I downgraded my lifestyle to something simple.
A step back could take you 10 steps forward.
Yes, yes. And a lot
Not
of
really even a step back, you know.
yeah, and a lot of people don't see that. They don't realize that the number one thing is setting aside some money. So it doesn't matter where you're at. I mean, you can make $40,000 at McDonald's or something. I don't know what going rate is, but save your money. Don't buy those nice wheels for that car. That'll come later. But number one thing is trying to save what you can and taking care of your installers, your employees. Make sure they're happy, because without your employees, you're not going to go anywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I always treated my employees very well. I mean, cut the kids for them, made sure they went home and went to sleep for the next day. I mean, I went ahead and stayed up all night, waiting kids, cutting kids, making sure everything is there, doing the paperwork, making sure people were paid on time. That's another thing too. I don't owe people money. I mean, if I owe you some money, you have it right now. I mean, if I owe anybody money, call me out. Oh, nobody. I'm still trying to collect on people that owe me money from 8 months ago. I mean, what the shit, really? Not going to call him out. I wish I should, but I'm not going to, because I'm not that devious. What was the question again?
It was the top 3 things, if you were generalizing to the audience, that you think that they might be doing wrong or something they could improve. So we got not spending more money when you make more money. That's a big one. That's an enormous one. I can't tell you how many kind of like traps there are where you go, okay, now there's a little bit of money in the business. I can improve my business by spending it on this, on that, on this. Sometimes you're right. Most of the times you're probably wrong. You don't need to spend the money. You'll improve your business by keeping the money and keeping it and keeping it and growing. And I also think everybody kind of has their threshold where they go, okay, that's enough money. And now there's extra. But that extra in reality, it just kind of depends on the size of your business, what you're comfortable with in your head, and kind of the ceiling you built. But there's never too much money you can have. It can only open up opportunities. You never know what's around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, having oxygen in business, which is money aside, you could do so much potentially in a little amount of time if the stars align, because you put yourself in that opportunity, make up for a lot of time,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of riches are made in bad times. They're made because people can take advantage of those bad times. The easiest time to hire installers for flat glass, for example, is maybe for automotive as well, is in the winter, right? Because that's when people are slowest. So if you can give somebody consistency in the winter, you'll have no problem in the summer, but you need excess money to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so outside of excess money and saving, what are 2 more things?
As being a new business owner, people that are trying to get into PPF, one of the things is they have auto nest, or whenever you pull up something on DAP, the patterns are already there. People don't realize that if you reposition everything, you can actually save a few inches. Few inches times, I don't know, let's say 10 inches per HUD when people want to bulk. To me, that's a waste of money. I mean, the patterns are just as good. Maybe they want to bulk to get a little more, just extend your edges. Because you can take a Porsche HUD and do 15 HUDs on one roll versus doing 10 if you bulk it. I mean, if you're wasting 10 inches here, by the time you do your 6th HUD, you could have done a 7th. And I always charge $7.50 wholesale just for a HUD. That's $9.95 you just threw out the window. So saving money any way you can. People use gel. I've never used gel. I've just used Johnson's & Johnson's. I did the math with one of the guys that came to me. We sat down and seen how much money was thrown out the window by using gel. And if you learn how to use Johnson & Johnson's correctly, then you can save $60,000 versus spending $60. And that's one of the things I do too. Whenever you come to me for training, I sit there and we critique how much money you spend on patterns or or even whenever employees or installers are installing something and they do it wrong. I mean, I've always charged my installers to redo that fender. They have to pay for materials. People ask me why. So, I've seen people, window tinters especially, they'll just yank it off and put a new piece on. And I've always asked them, why'd you do that? Well, it's not my film. Who cares? They should care because, I mean, if they want to get a yearly bonus or a raise, they
But
would.
isn't the answer really like because I creased it or because there's, some debris on the corner and I couldn't get it out? And, like that's the answer. I mean, people aren't like, because it's free. Like they're like, because
No,
it's
no,
fucked
no.
up.
I had two or three
So
people
like,
tell me that. They just looked at me and was like, why would they spend the time to do it properly the first time when they can just redo it multiple
I get what
times?
you're saying for sure, but
Yeah.
mistakes will be had. And okay, so check your credit card, maybe your company credit card or your personal whatever, and your bank account. You could check it once a month, and you could probably just go through and look at line items, look at expenses, and go, is there any way around spending that money? You mentioned spending money on gel. There's certain overhead. It's keeping it simple,
Mhm.
making sure you're not, like you said, wasting film by like using the nesting feature without maybe reevaluating if there's a more efficient way to plot it, by bulking instead of using patterns. That's a lot of money that could be wasted or saved. Um,
Or even getting Tint Wiz.
I love that. Is that number
It-
three?
Yeah, yeah, that would be number three. Okay, so
Should have been number one. No,
well,
just
it should
fuck.
have been number one, but the thing is, I never used it, man, because I had this stupid phone, right? And I always just use my notes because I'm old school. I mean, I still balance my checkbooks in a binder thing and I
Okay.
write everything down. And I used to do that with my invoices too. I always hand wrote invoices, even
So
till.
third one, you mentioned earlier how important it was that when you started getting approached to purchase your company, the first thing they want are the numbers and the books. And if you don't have them, people kind of can't purchase your company for the most part. Like they kind of could, but not realistically. So getting your books in order would you say is pretty fucking important?
Yes, yes, and keeping a schedule because I mean I've seen your Tint Wiz app. Great, by the way. I'm sorry I never
Mhm.
got to use it.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not.
got it in and out real quick. I like that.
I did. I mean, because I think the Tinter battles. I was looking at all the things you could do. I mean, you can book, schedule. I wish I had that because again, I just use my notes. I just
I'm
typed
sure the
everything.
company that purchased you wish you had it too, because they would have the pictures before and after of all the jobs, the videos, the VINs. They would have everything. But
I'm sure they
you
do.
might have even more millions based on that. So I'm just throwing that out there too. Even so, I'm sure you're not starving for millions, but I'm just
No,
saying
no. Well,
could have
the
been
funny
more
thing
money.
about it is, whenever I sold, they didn't even care about my books. Not at all. They didn't ask for anything.
They just wanted the staff mainly and the accounts.
Yes, they didn't care.
The labor and the accounts. Which was more important, the labor or the accounts, do you think? If you had to pick one, which do you think they valued more?
Oh my gosh, that's actually a hard question because if
50-50. It's equal, you
it's
think,
50
right?
50, because if you have the accounts but you don't have the guys doing it for you, you lose.
Fucking worthless. And if you have the people and you don't have the account. So if you're
You
out
lose.
there and you're kind of saying, I'm looking for direction, and
Mhm.
you could just say, I'm going to focus on two things. I'm going to go out, I'm going to get the accounts, and I'm going to train somebody to fulfill the accounts within a day and fast. I'm going to do that over and over. And at the end of the day, I'm going to have a 4, 5, 6, $10 million business.
That's going to be false.
Tell me what we're missing.
You still have the reputation too.
Well, of course, but I mean, you have to fulfill it. You'll build the reputation by fulfilling it, right? And
Yeah.
you've got to be able to get the accounts, and you've got to be able to train the people, and you're not going to train them inside the Porsche dealer. So you're going to have to figure that out as well. Or maybe you do train them in the Porsche dealer. Where were you training new people since you didn't have a facility?
We're
In the
training
Porsche dealer.
portions. I mean,
Okay.
again,
And what were you doing? How are you kind of,
so,
getting that
so
feet wet?
yeah, we'd start them on door cups, door edges, mirrors. And then next thing you know, mirrors are one of the hardest things to learn. We all know that. Once you can finally do mirrors, really extremely hard, curvy 718s, they suck. I still hate them. It's one of those things where it's repetition. They're doing it over and over and over. And then you move on to a fender. Once you get the fenders down, the bumper, and then the hoods. Still with me? Yeah.
I'm with you.
And so but you don't you don't want to trust them too quickly on doing a fender. So for about a month or two, they're doing all the little things. Until they can do all the little things, by the time you get done with the fender, then they'll be ready to move on to the fenders. Because sometimes it
Okay.
would take them an hour to do two fenders, two door cups, two door edges, two wheel wells.
And during this training period, are you charging them for the film that they mess up?
You can't really charge them for it because I'm not paying them a lot of money. I don't pay the new guys, or I didn't. Sorry, I'm not doing it anymore.
And then once you are, once they're trained, they're installing, they're making so much money that they're kind of okay paying for the film, knowing, it was my mistake and I make plenty of money, so I'll deal with it. But it's not enough to piss me off to where I
No,
leave.
no, not at all. Because I mean, from 2018 till now, I mean, whenever it was just me and Junior, we maybe messed up out of 2,000 cars, maybe 10. And then you start to get new people and new people. And then you're, instead of having 10 comebacks, you might have 20, 30. I think this last year, whenever I kind of moved up trying to get more and more people and training them quickly, you had more comebacks. But once you start charging these people or installers for the comebacks, that's when they started to pay more attention. Because after you mess up once or twice, you're like, damn, he just took $80 out of my paycheck. Holy shit! And then that's whenever you start to see the everything level out all the way across the board, where they're not messing up as much. They may become a little slower because a lot of them want to try to go fast, and that's
Right.
what.
So that helps bring that into balance.
Mhm. And that's what I tell new people. It doesn't matter about how quick you are. Try, you're not Tim Ham. I tell my son that all the time. We're not in a competition who's been a quick. Is you want the best install, and then you can. The quickness comes with time. You're not going to learn it overnight. I mean, again, my son's been doing it about a year and a half now.
Okay.
He still has a little bit to learn. I mean, he's doing well, hopefully, and
It's like a LeBron, you know,
it is.
brawny such situation there.
It is. And
You were Go ahead.
I was going to say, I stay out of his business. I don't ask him anything. I know he kind of branched out on his own. And everybody's like, oh, you Tim Ham's son. Oh, you must be good. He's pretty good. He's quick. Sometimes he just rushes too much, which is good. But he's now learning to slow down and take his time and put out good work. So again, but he doesn't bother me too much for advice because I always tell him my phone's always open. I'm always here to help you. And at the same time, he's wanting to figure it out on his own, which is a good thing.
You were an XPEL dealer and you're obviously moving a lot of film. You're obviously not an XPEL dealer your entire career. You've had other films. Every company looks for something different out of their film provider. Um, based on what they need, what support they need, what they're looking for, maybe their preferences with installation, who knows? But everybody can get something different out of a supplier. What was it that XPEL was able to provide you that they were able to earn your business? Because I'm sure there were a lot of film companies that wanted Tim Ham's business and you switched from something to them at some point, I'm guessing. So what was it about Expel that you felt valued and you felt you got out of, and that's why you were, using them?
I was always Suntech. I won the award for like 10 straight years, and that's through Speed Film. And Mike Mayo one day reached out before I started this new company. He said, Tim, I've known Mike Mayo for a very long time. And he said, Tim, how can we earn your business? Which, everyone else has said the same thing. I know Jamie Warner and the Dominicos and whatnot. They've like, Tim, how do we get you to switch? Send me a sample. I'm going to put it on my car. I'm going to test it for 1 year, exactly 1 year. And the thing with this car, or all my cars, I don't wash them. I don't care. Some of them sit outside. I'd rather put it to the test where somebody who neglects the hell out of their car and see how it handles and holds up.
Mhm.
And within that year, Mayo calls me, hey man, how's that film holding up? I said, dude, it's still clear. It was easy to install. I mean, that was the easiest install I've ever had. The patterns are spot on too. So I made the switch, and that's whenever I started Felony Film using Expo. Just a whole new clean slate. I think that was one of the reasons why I wanted to try something new. but they've always stood behind me. I mean, anytime I call somebody at 2 in the morning, somebody would answer, whether it's Chris Hardy or I was just on the phone with Jason Carr right before this.
What number do you typically call 2 in the morning?
Their personal cell phone numbers.
I know, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
And
I'm wondering, like, what is this phone number you're calling? Is 877 888?
I mean, another thing, like if I call anyone in that industry, because I guess I earn their respect, I mean, I can call David Kratz from Autobot, and he would always answer the phone, or Dillinger, or anybody. Because sometimes if I have an issue with a plotter, I don't know anything about a plotter. I don't even know how to set it up. I would call somebody. If somebody from Expo doesn't know, then I would call somebody from Autobot or Suntech. And usually they'd answer the phone and help me out. I mean, it's a double-edged sword for them, because maybe one day, maybe I may switch.
You want to see if Chris Hardy answers your phone call now?
Yeah. You want to call? Or you want me to call?
Nah, it's you. It's your phone call. You're saying.
Are you want to call?
Give him a buzz.
Oh, I'll call him in a minute. But even a Dean Mitchell, sometimes you don't answer my phone call. What's up with that?
You know, my phone's on. Do you want the answer? Or should we just move on? We just move on.
It's
or WFR. Go ahead. No, my phone's always on silent. It's tough to answer phone calls. I much prefer text messages. Anybody who texts me, it's like so easy. But the phone calls, it's sometimes your hands are full. You're on another call. You're doing something. You're multitasking. You're out and about. There's so many things going on. But you know, then we do this. We catch up.
Yeah. No, and that's perfectly fine with me, because I mean, even at what was it, Tinter Battles, whenever we had that fake Tint Wiz segment that I just went off the wall talking about all kinds of stuff. Did you ever watch it?
At the last Tinter Battles.
Yeah, because Mother Marion was
podcast. Which one?
Yeah, the podcast. Because Mother Marion, she was like, "Oh my gosh, I thought that was live." I'm like, "No, it wasn't live. We forgot to tell her." But I wanted honest reactions from people from me talking about off the wall stuff.
Well, we have the secret archive video, if it's the one that I'm thinking of. And it'll probably be released in about 20 years from now, is I'm thinking, because I have to wait till some of the people either die or retired, or I'm just kidding about the dying part, but you know what I'm saying? Like if it's the video I'm thinking about, we're gonna have to wait till everybody's retired. Once everybody in the video is on the Hall of Fame and retired and Tim Ham status, then the video will go out, and I think it'll be the most watched video ever in our industry. But for now, it has to stay in the vault.
Yeah, because you remember I kept asking, "Can we talk about anything?" You're like, "Yeah, talk about whatever you want." I'm like, "Are you sure?" Because I was trying to make sure it wasn't live. Because I mean, again, I went off the wall in outer space. Even the space aliens were like, "What's Tim talking about?"
I bet.
I mean, you did watch it, right?
I did. I did. If it's the same video I'm thinking of, it's like I said, it will one day be the most watched video in the industry, period. But
now, was that the ones with the strippers that came in that were naked?
No, it wasn't that one.
Good. That was more PG-13.
I want everybody to feel confident that it's literally inside of the vault, and it will not be released until everybody signs their consent individually, and it has to be a minimum of 20 years from now. We'll start asking around. Where did we go with this? Because you were supposed to call Chris Hardy, and then you backed out, and then you backed out. Hey, he'll pick up my call at 2 a.m. Call him at 7 p.m. Call him a little later. Call him a little later. Call David. I call whoever you want, but I'm just saying you're throwing names out here, and then you know I'm going to call you out.
Let's see. What's up, Chris? Hey, I'm on Tint Wizdom right now, and they didn't think you're going to answer the phone.
He was bragging about how you answer the phone at any time.
This dude, he calls me when I'm on vacation, and I answer his phone call when I'm actually on vacation. And I tell everybody I'm actually not going to answer the call, any calls and then I actually do grab his. And then the worst part is that I call him when he's on vacation, and I get ignored for days on end. Definitely a one-way street.
Well, hold on. Whenever I'm on vacation, now that I'm retired, I don't have my phone with me.
Listen, you're so full of shit. You're so addicted to social media. You're on the fucking thing all the time.
Do you guys share each other's location on your phone so you can see each other's location?
Listen, the only person I have that with is Mike Burke. Mike Burke does have his location setting on. He sent it to me a long time ago, and I don't think he ever realized it's still there. So it's kind of hilarious because if I want to know what time zone he's in, I just gotta go on the app and take a look.
But yeah,
it is the infamous Tim Ham. So of course I'm gonna answer his call.
well, thank you, sir. And I was just telling him how sometimes it's 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. You have answered, and we've talked for 2-3 hours.
That definitely has happened many a time.
It has.
And, you know, I enjoy them. In the day, I'm addicted to work and obviously love communicating, especially with, you know, pioneers like Tim himself. You know, he's an amazing advocate for Expo and has been for a long time. And, you know, what can I say? He's an amazing partner to us in past, and hopefully after he retires, if and when he does retire, you know, we can bring him out of retirement and get him going again.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, I'll call you later, bud.
Thank you, Chris, for picking up.
Yeah, thank you for picking up.
No problem. Bye.
All right, bye. All right, who do you want to call that?
Man of your word.
No, I am. Usually everybody answers. I mean, I don't know. I'm retired now, but they still answer the phone, so that's a good thing.
Absolutely, it is.
I know he wants to pull me out of retirement one day, and I'm like, dude, I don't know about that. I do some odds and ends here and there for them, and out of state, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm traveling to go work for a couple hours. I don't know if that's in me.
Enjoy yourself. I love the idea of you taking 6 months, a year or something, because, you know, once you get going, regardless if it's working at Excel, if it's a new business, whatever it is, once you get going, you're probably going to get going at 100%, you know? So you might as well, there's no rush to commit, I feel like, because once you commit, there's no uncommitting, or there is, but you know,
It is.
probably won't.
I don't exactly have a jet yet, so.
I know, but who needs a jet, really?
I mean, nobody does.
Until your travel schedule dictates that it's cheaper and easier to just fly in the jet than to take a plane. Nobody needs a jet, but you know, but you could, I don't know. You can always do a lot with money. You know, the thing about money, going back to like the charity you mentioned earlier, the charity work is, you know, when you want to have an impact on society, on your community, on anything, on an industry, you know, money definitely helps amplify it. So like sometimes people go out and like their impact could be like holding up a sign. It could be being vocal about something, and that's an impact for sure. But if you can generate money while making the impact, you potentially can scale your impact up a lot larger. So it's a beautiful thing that you still, you know, have your sights on doing something else. And, you know, I know enough about you to say that it's built in you. You need that to keep going. So, but it's awesome to see you taking a break and relaxing. And, you know,
I still don't know what to do with myself. I mean, again, I've had my first job at 12. I just went AWOL and did everything that I could from 18 to now. I mean, 20-hour days. And now
what do you think about investing your time into heading to like maybe like New Orleans area? Have you been there recently?
Not recently. I think the last time I went with Hardy and Ryan Martin for that Street Outlaws.
So you could potentially head back there, and Mitch Goldman's a nut, and you could help him come back to his mind. I don't know what kind of nonsense he's typing in the chat right now, but
oh, you do remember he messaged us earlier and said good luck. So he was in the right mind then. Sometimes I'll call him and be like, dude, what are you doing? And be like, Tim, you know, he's kind of like me sometimes, because there's been times I've said off the wall shit that I'm sitting here going, I'm still around though. I think he's done the same thing. I mean, I love him to death because every word
same but different.
Same
Off
but
the wall, but different types of walls, different heights, different materials.
I mean, super nice guy. Every time I've went somewhere, he's had my back. Tim, let me help you carry something.
Oh yeah.
Let's film off. Tim, I know you got to go somewhere. Let me take your stuff back to my room. And then there's times that I didn't bring something to get the water off the floor. He hands me towels. I'm like, thank you, bro. I mean, he's really a nice guy. I mean, unless you rub him the wrong way, and then look out.
I mean, here's the thing about Mitch. Yep, we're talking about Mitch. You don't have to rub him the wrong way, to watch out, but he is a nice guy. I agree with you there. And looking forward to seeing him and everybody else at WFR and, you know, all the events this year that follow. So, Tim, I feel like you handled the deposition pretty well today. And I don't think I don't think you broke any NDAs, though. If you look back into the video, there's a chance that somebody could decode how much you sold the business for through your examples.
Yeah, but how much did I spend? How much did I really make?
Who knows?
I mean, I told you I sold it for $100,000. I don't freaking know.
No, you didn't. But
10 mil, it might have been 20.
real quick, before you go, since you sold the business until now, in order of largest to least, what are the purchases you've made? You bought a Porsche, like a cheap Porsche, like a cheap, brand new, beautiful dream car Porsche, the cheap one.
No. It was all optioned out, so it wasn't cheap.
It wasn't cheap,
But
but it was an S or a regular.
Yeah, it was S.
Very nice.
Fully loaded, but I did buy the GT3 RS. That was just a thank you to myself.
That was in the works before you sold the company, though.
It was. I mean,
what did you after? What did you say? Like after you sold the company, what were new ideas to spend the money?
You mean to treat myself?
Anything. I don't know. Did you do anything like for anybody or not? I don't really, it's not like I'm like, did you do anything for anybody? I'm just saying, like, I know you bought a Porsche. Maybe I think you got a Maserati, like you leased, or I don't know if you bought it or what you did. Like what, you know, everybody kind of wants to know. You get, you know, millions of dollars into your bank account. Did you say, I want to go spend 100 on this or 200 on that or 5 on, you know, electric bicycle? I don't know.
No, after I sold, I invested within 2 days and I had 500,000 left over. So I was like, you know, let me go buy something for myself. So the 911, the Maserati, paid off the Cayenne and the GT3 RS. So as for everything else, there's nothing I really need because throughout the years that I was building the company and whatnot, I was already buying what I wanted with my leftover money. Because after I do my investments, I take whatever I have left over and go buy something. Did it make me happy? Sure. I mean, you know, it's nice to have nice things.
I mean, let me ask you real quick again before we go. Curious. I almost feel like in my mind, when I saw the picture of the Porsche you bought and the Maserati, in my mind, I filled in the blanks with you probably bought it so somebody else is going to drive it or as a thank you to the Porsche dealer for their business over the years or something like that. How far off am I?
The Porsches, I always buy, I think I bought 28 Porsches so far within 5 years. I do that so that way I can still be in line for when the GT2 RS comes out or if there's the new GT3 when that comes out to have the cool cars because then I have to trade them RS for what I paid for it, which is MSRP, because I'm not spending 200,000 over. So it's a thank you to them, but I'm not making money on my trade.
Did it help you get that account by being a Porsche guy and buying, like, did it help you keep the account or did it help you get the account or both?
You know, it's kind of both, you know, because I did the PPF work for both dealerships, but I was very loyal to one, that's Hennessy Porsche. I've always bought my cars there. And I don't question, I just tell them what I'm trading in, what I want. They'll work my numbers, make sure I'm taken care of. I'm good to go. I never haggle. I never want to test drive the car. I don't waste nobody's time. Hey, I want that car right there and just have it ready for me. Okay, cool. I never try to finagle the numbers. I don't care. It's just, you know, I do the same thing with you. If I was shopping with you, I'm never going to ask you for a discount. That's one of the problems people today is, can I have a discount off your business? You can pay full retail for some Jordans or for some Louis Vuitton, but when you go to your buddy, you want to ask for a discount. You know, I'm just going to ask you how much is it, and then usually I just pay for it and go. I think I did that with the Rolls Royce. A couple weeks ago, I dropped it off with traffic jams, and I told him I want a system in it. You know, maybe like a 10, a little more base. I come back from vacation. He puts 2 tons in there to knock your socks off. I'm sitting here going, what the shit is this?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just way too much. But again, I mean, I'm thankful. It was great. Now, if I really want to make somebody mad, which I'll see you with it in a couple weeks, I'm just going to turn the bass all the way up.
Can't wait. If you know, you mentioned you had a lot of cars. I know your driveway's full. If you ever want to keep one in Los Angeles, absolutely no cost. You can leave any of the cars at my place, and I'll have it clean for you anytime you come to town.
You know,
Make sure I keep it running too, so it doesn't encounter any problems.
I may do that because I know my Cobra is at Expo right now. My 356 Speedster is at
Which one's at Expo?
the black Cobra, the 67 Cobra.
Oh, okay. Yep. I
Have
don't
you,
want that one. I want the newer ones.
but you know, I never even drove the car yet.
I
I,
believe it. It's
I've never seen the
oh,
car.
it's a classic. Like it's meant to sit in the garage, I feel like at this point. You take it out one Sunday a year.
It's just if your feet's too big, you can't shift gears properly. And that was the problem with the 356. I mean, it's a Porsche 356, and Chris Hardy drove it to WFR last year, and I only drove it one time to the gas station. He was like, "Why didn't you drive it?" I'm like, "Bro, I can't shift gears. I mean, unless I take my shoes off and I'm barefooted."
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, it's not a car that I actually wanted. It was just part that, sure, I wanted it. Now I have it. I
Right.
like Cayenne's the best car ever. I mean, I prefer that over my RS.
The new Cayenne is a piece of beauty.
It is.
It really, really is.
So tell me about.
Go ahead.
Do we have a time limit here?
It's more like my parking meter just expired. So that's our biggest. We've got 10 minutes left in the studio and about 5 minutes over on the parking meter.
Well, let's do the 10 minutes. So that way I can go use the bathroom and maybe get some food, do a line of cocaine. It's already ready, by the way. You want to see it?
Sure. What you got? Oh, those are the cup holders or like drink.
Yeah, because every time I put them in my story, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, bro!" I'm like, "Dude, I don't do drugs. I actually don't. It's a waste of money." I think if I ever did cocaine, my girlfriend's like, "If you ever did that, you'd be hooked on it." I'm like, "Yeah, no shit. That's why I don't do it." I don't even smoke weed. Kind of weird.
Yeah, definitely don't know anybody who smokes weed, but
I think I'm the only person that don't.
no, you're not the only person, but teach their own, right?
Yeah,
You're a chimney with the cigarettes, so everybody has their own
yeah.
fucking thing that they do.
You catch me every 10 minutes. I'm outside, smoking a cigarette. Yeah, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay, because I think I had like 3 before I jumped on this podcast. But I also knew I was going to be without one for 2 hours. So
Right. Do you smoke inside your house?
hell no, no.
Okay, just wondering. Okay. Well, why don't we wrap this up, Tim? I really appreciate you doing the deposition, answering all the questions. I feel like it's everything I wanted to know about what was going on in your life in the last year or so with the big sale. And I sincerely mean, congratulations on all your success. I know you've worked for it, but you could put all the work in the world and not achieve what you did in the last 4 or 5 years. It's tremendous. It really is something to be proud of. And I would say if anybody wants to learn more about what you've done, to not hesitate to reach out, because you are, like you said, a generous person with your time. You're an extremely nice person. If you can get past that initial rough waves of who knows. So I sincerely appreciate you doing this, being so transparent. And you've always been that, since I met you. So
Yeah, no, I try to be and I've had people watch your other podcast with me and you from last year, September, I think.
mhm.
And people come to me and they're like, Tim, you can be actually a business like and normal. I was like, there's multiple sides to me. So
Well, and
there,
that's what I mean by the big thank yous, is because look, you are entertaining, you are somebody fun to watch, and you are going to get bits and pieces of what's going on in your life by following, but you're actually doing so much, and it's so unique, right? From the style of how you created your business to your exit, all of that is so unique that like people need to know about it. It's a case study. People need to hear about it, It really is unique. It's one off. And I think it's tremendously valuable to just understand, even if you don't go that path, even if it just is one piece of the puzzle in the perspective that you have along your entrepreneurial journey or whatnot. It's an important piece to know what people are doing. People don't typically share. So thank you.
no, not at all. And it's also being in this industry is any business. I mean, you have to be an entertainer or do they call it influencer? I don't know what you call it.
I believe it's called Tintertainer.
Yeah, but that's those guys. Those guys. No, but in reality, you have to do something different. I mean, again, you don't go to Marco's Pizza or Burger King to see what they just posted. Oh, hookers and cocaine and this and this. You have to post something stupid every time then sometimes put some serious stuff. That way it keeps people coming. Because I mean, again, if you would have asked me, I know we have 6 minutes. So if you would have asked me long ago, I would have loved to first started off with this hookers and cocaine and felony film versus, speed film long ago. And I'm sitting here going, this is much more entertaining.
Was speed films because of like speed, like a speedball, or was it just speed like a fast car?
It was driving cars fast.
Got it.
Hit the road with speed film because the road hits back, or don't get road herpes because that shit comes back too.
That's definitely another good bumper sticker for you.
It is. I could come up with so many things. I mean,
what car are you bringing to the WFR event?
We're bringing the 911, the GT3 RS,
regular 911, the new.
Yeah, the new one and the RS. They're both silver. They're going to be in the center.
Okay.
And then we're putting the Rolls Royce in the expo booth with $1 million.
No.
Yeah.
What do you mean with $1 million?
Cash.
No, you're not. You got 4 minutes to explain what you're fucking joking about here. What are you doing?
No, you'll see it. You're going to see it. You're going to be like, holy shit.
No, you're not putting $1 million in cash there. I know it.
I might be.
You're not. There's no way you're bringing $1 million in cash to the event.
Okay. You want to place a wager on it?
No, but what I like to do is kind of call you out to where you're going to do it. And then I don't mind being wrong because there's going to be $1 million in cash at this event, and that should be fun one way or another.
It's going to be because, we're doing what is it even supposed to say?
I don't believe you're bringing $1 million cash. You're going to bring in a duffel bag, maybe like a.
It's actually in a box. And it actually, $1 million is not a lot of money.
Bring it over. Do you have it behind you?
No, it's actually upstairs. I had to order.
Get robbed, Tim.
No. Trust me.
You're going to get robbed. And if you don't have the money on you, they might not take it lightly.
No, not at all. They're going to know, what the fuck? We did all this. There'll be a money counter.
Call Chris Hardy back. I need to see it. No, I'm kidding. We got to go. We got to go as a joke. Tim, are you bringing $1 million to this event for real?
We're just going to have to look at Expo's booth and see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a perfect way to leave this off.
You mean split half of them, put it in your booth?
Yes. I would love that.
I could probably do that, but you're responsible for
it to my house. So I'll get with you after this. I'm going to go get my parking ticket. Tim, I sincerely appreciate you doing this. And really, thank you for sharing. Thanks for being you. You're a great human being. And this was a great way to spend 2 hours. So sincere thanks.
Again, thank you to you too, because I always enjoy your podcasts.
See you in 3 weeks in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
See you then.
Chattanooga, Tennessee, everyone there. Bye.
I will see everybody there. See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.